They say power is subtle, and desire is unpredictable. But what I've discovered, what I've tested in real rooms, in real lives, in moments you don't even notice, is that a single, almost imperceptible gesture, a nuance in how you move, how you carry yourself, can ignite obsession in the most successful men without you ever asking for it, without you ever trying. And the trick eyes, the belt tricky's not about seduction in a vulgar way. It's about mastery of presence, a subtle dominance wrapped in softness. And the moment I realized it, I understood something fundamental. Men of high status are magnetic to certainty, to alignment, to quiet control, and they are driven insane by women who can communicate strength without speaking, who can signal control over themselves and their world through a movement, a touch, a rhythm. And here's the kicker: the belt trick is symbolic, functional, psychological, and aesthetic all at once. And if you want to understand how to wield it, you must first understand the psychology behind why it works. Because human desire is layered. It is not about the object itself, but the message it conveys. And the belt, when handled correctly, when worn and adjusted with deliberate intent, tells a man, I am meticulous, I am confident, I am aware, I am self-possessed, I am unreachable if I choose to be. And it triggers what I call the tension loop, where his mind oscillates between admiration, desire, and mild helplessness because he knows he cannot force this energy. He cannot chase it. He cannot negotiate it. It exists entirely within you. And once he senses that, his behavior changes. His attention sharpens. His mind becomes compulsively focused on you. And I've seen it happen repeatedly. In boardrooms, in luxury hotel bars, at private events, when a woman moves with this small, deliberate mastery, men who are otherwise unshakable suddenly pause, hesitate, and think, who is she? What is this power I can't touch? And that's when the magic begins. Because fascination is the currency of desire. And nothing fascinates a man like a woman who carries her world, her rhythm, her power, with quiet, elegant, unapologetic precision. Now, let's break this down. Because the belt trick is not a gimmick, it's a masterclass in non-verbal communication, in anchoring masculine attention without saying a word. And I want you to picture this. You are in a luxurious setting, the kind of room that feels like it has been curated to impress. You are wearing a perfectly tailored outfit, and the belt sits at your waist like it belongs there. And here is where you add the magic. You adjust it slowly, deliberately, not fidgeting, not nervous, but with absolute calm awareness. And that movement, that almost invisible ritual, is a signal, a language that only the trained mind notices. And in that language, you are telling him, I am aware of myself. I am aligned. I am untouchable unless I permit you. And psychologically, successful men, men who are used to control, dominance, and influence, are wired to respond to women who show mastery over themselves. Because it creates a paradox. They want to influence, to lead, but they cannot lead someone who is unshakably centered. And that tension is intoxicating. It produces what neuroscientists would call heightened dopaminergic response, spikes in focus, subtle physiological attraction. And you do not even have to speak. You do not have to laugh. You do not even have to lean in. All you have to do is exist in alignment with your own power. And let the belt trick amplify that. Because it is more than fashion. It is a ritual. It is an assertion. It is a whisper that says, I am here. I am aware. I am selective. I am deliberate. And the men who recognize this, the high-value men, the successful men, cannot help but lean in mentally, emotionally, and even physically, because it engages something primal, the recognition of control, precision, and self-possession. And I promise you, when you do this with confidence, when you embody this subtly, their attention becomes compulsive, their desire sharpens, and the world bends toward your energy without effort. And finally, this is where most women fail, because they either overplay it, thinking power must be loud, or underplay it, thinking subtlety is weakness. And both are mistakes. Mastery is balance. And the belt trick is your vehicle to teach men. Without lectures, without drama, without chasing, how potent a woman can be when she owns herself. And it works beyond dating. It works in professional rooms, in social events, in any scenario where attention is currency. Because the energy is unmistakable, deliberate, calm, collected, and unattainable except by permission. And here is your action plan. Practice the movement, not as a seduction, but as a statement. Pair it with posture, with gaze, with a calm smile, with intentional pacing in conversation. And notice the shift. Observe it silently, because fascination is most powerful when it is unscripted, organic, and authentic. And if this resonates, stay here, subscribe, turn on notifications, comment your biggest takeaway, because embodying this energy changes everything, from the way high-value men perceive you, to the way opportunities unfold in your life. And remember this, power is subtle, influence is quiet, and the belt trick is not about showing off. It is about collecting attention, desire, and alignment effortlessly. And when you step fully into it, you are no longer competing for anyone's attention. You are simply commanding it. And if today you needed this, replay it, internalize it, and watch how the world begins to adjust. Because a queen who understands the language of subtle dominance never has to chase. She only collects. And the belt, when wielded with mastery, is her quiet crown, invisible yet utterly magnetic. And let me take you even deeper. Because understanding the belt trick is only half the secret. Real power comes from how you embody it consistently. Not as a single gesture, but as a lifestyle of quiet command. Because women who are magnetic do not rely on tricks. They rely on alignment, presence, and awareness. And the belt trick is simply a mirror of that energy. A small, visible cue that communicates much larger truths. Truths that are often invisible to the casual observer, but palpable to a man who is attuned to subtlety. And let me tell you, successful men are always attuned to subtlety. Because subtlety is how power speaks. And power, my loves, is irresistible when it is self-owned, when it is unshakable, when it radiates calm certainty. And this is why the belt trick drives them crazy. They feel drawn, perplexed, fascinated, and even slightly destabilized. Because a woman who can command attention without trying, who can set boundaries and own her space with a quiet, deliberate confidence, disrupts their usual patterns, disrupts their assumptions, and they cannot help but want to engage, to understand, to invest their energy into someone so aligned, so deliberate, and so untouchable unless she chooses otherwise. And this is the energy of queens. This is the language of feminine mastery. And once you embody it fully, you realize that fascination, respect, desire, and attention do not need to be begged forth. They are collected, naturally, effortlessly, because you are calibrated, because your energy is expensive, and because you know your own value without needing validation from the outside. Now, let's expand this into real-life application, because understanding theory is one thing, but execution is where queens distinguish themselves from the crowd. And execution begins with awareness. Awareness of your posture, of your gestures, of the subtle rhythm of your movements, because every movement communicates more than words ever could. And when you adjust that belt with intention, you are signaling that you are deliberate, that you notice details, that you are aware of your body, your presence, and your environment. And men notice this instantly, because it disrupts their expectation of women who are reactive, desperate, or performative. And once that expectation is disrupted, their desire and focus sharpen, because human psychology responds to calm, deliberate, self-owned energy. It responds to boundaries without aggression. It responds to selective attention. And when a woman combines all these elements with subtle visual cues, the way she touches the belt, the way she shifts her weight, the way she tilts her head while speaking, the way her eyes soften but hold focus, is not performing seduction. She is performing mastery. And mastery cannot be taught in conventional ways. It is felt. It is absorbed. It is recognized. And the results are predictable. Attention intensifies. Desire sharpens. And successful men become captivated not by what you say, but by the energy you emanate. And that, my loves, is the ultimate trick, because when you are fully aligned, fully collected, fully deliberate, fascination becomes organic, attention becomes unavoidable, and respect becomes natural. And this is why high-value men, those who have everything they think they want, can be driven absolutely mad by a simple, deliberate belt adjustment, because it communicates a million things at once. Awareness, control, confidence, subtle dominance, and irresistible calm. And finally, I want you to internalize this principle, because subtle dominance, fascination, and collection of energy are not just about dating. They are about your entire life, your entire presence, your entire self-concept. Because the women who command attention, who collect desire, who cultivate loyalty, who inspire fascination, do not do it through over-explanation, over-effort, or over-pursuit. They do it through alignment, through awareness, and through consistent, deliberate energy. And the belt trick is a tool to anchor that energy, to make it visible, to give a physical gesture to an internal power. And when you practice it consciously, you begin to see patterns emerge everywhere. Men noticing you differently, people responding with more respect, invitations arriving more organically, opportunities gravitating toward you without you chasing them. Because the energy you project signals value, selectivity, and calm authority. And let me remind you, this is not manipulation. This is self-possession. This is mastery of your own energy. This is the quiet declaration that you are a queen. And when you internalize this, the belt trick stops being a trick and becomes a symbol, a statement, a part of your presence, a way for the world to recognize without question that you are deliberate, selective, and powerful. And if this resonates with you, if you feel the shift in your awareness as you listen, subscribe, turn on notifications, comment your biggest takeaway, even if it's just "I needed this," because awareness is the first step to embodiment. And once you embody this energy fully, fascination, respect, desire, and opportunity will be drawn toward you effortlessly, naturally, and inevitably. And that, my loves, is the real magic, the real power, the belt trick transformed into lifestyle, authority, and unstoppable feminine mastery.